Today I'm going to share something that literally took me years to figure out, and that's how to create a specific type of distortion on kick drums, which in my opinion is the best type of distortion on kicks in house music. So let's jump right in. Just to give you a little bit of background info, throughout all the years I've been listening to and producing house music, I've really liked this specific type of distorted kick drum. And I just really like it because it has this energy to it. It has a nice oomph. It's not overly aggressive like a hardstyle kick, but still has a really nice bite in there and is nicely distorted. So I've been looking for kick drums like this and sample them from tracks or find them in sample packs. This specific one is from a Paul Johnson track. But I really like to understand how certain sounds are made to be able to make them myself and customize them and be more flexible and stuff like this. But this one was really frustrating over time because it's obviously somewhat of just a distorted 909 kick, but I've tried out all these different types of distortion and never even got close. So let me show you some examples. So up here we have just a standard 909 kick. Let's distort it with some different tools. And here we have the Saturator, which is just a little rack I made, which you can find for free on my website, where you can basically drive the signal and it's automatically going to reduce the volume, and we can skip through different types. So let's, for example, check out the analog clip and record that real quick. As you can see here now, we're just clipping the signal, right? It turns it into somewhat of a square wave, so we get this distorted sound right here. But if we compare this waveform with our example kick, we can clearly see here we have a square wave, and this is more like a Trisaw, which then turns into a triangle and then slowly turns into a sine wave. So I've been using the waveform as an example to see if I'm getting there, and the sound obviously is also very different. If we now skip through some different options that we have in our saturator, so let's just change up the type and record that. We can see if we zoom in a bit more, we also just basically get a square wave. Let's check out one more type, like the medium curve, for example. Okay, we're pushing the signal more, so the recording gets quieter, but if we zoom in, we can see, okay, all of these are just basically shaping the wave, crushing it at the top, clipping it, creating a square wave that way. So I thought, okay, maybe I need more fancy distortion tools to make something like this happen. So let's get rid of the saturator and open up Decapitator. Here you also have different types that you can choose and have different drives. So let's just record the first one. Okay, once again, we don't get this clearly chopped off square wave, but it's still this type of shape, a little bit of a dent here, but we're not getting anywhere close to this. If we check out a different type one more time, let's just do this one. You see, okay, it distorts it in a more extreme way, but not really what we're looking for. Let's check out one more over here. Okay, and this is also slightly less aggressive, or doesn't just clip it in a way, but not getting anywhere close. So I thought, okay, maybe I can do something like this with Saturn. People were using tape distortion back then, right? So let's put this on warm tape, drive it quite heavily. Let's see what we get. And once again, we're basically just getting somewhat of an angled, inclined square wave. Let's maybe do a warm tube, drive it a bit more. And once again, you can see, okay, we're chopping it, clipping it at the top, and then at the bottom, it's still kind of round. So this is not really getting us anywhere. And then lastly, something that's also obviously a very common type of distortion would be bit reduction or something like this. Here I'm using Decimort on an MPC 60 preset. People were using MPCs all the time, right? So let's record that. And once again, doesn't sound bad, but we're just getting this square wave shape here, okay? But we want to get here. So just when I kind of felt like giving up, I was learning more and more about synthesis, sound design, and wave shapes and things like that. And I finally kind of figured out how you end up at a shape like this and realized I was technically already halfway there. If you saw my last video, I already shared quite some info on how to analyze certain waveforms, what wave shapes have what frequencies in them, and how they combine together and stuff like that. Make sure to check this one out if you haven't already. But the thing that's most relevant in the context right here is the relationship between a square wave and a triangle wave. Since we're distorting everything into a square wave, we can already know what overtones are we creating, right? So we just have the square wave right here coming from silent 1. And the square wave always kind of creates odd harmonics. So if we have 100 Hertz as a basis, fundamental, we're going to create 300, 500, 700, 900, and so on, right? So that's a specific overtone series that a square wave has. A triangle wave, on the other hand, has the same overtone structure as a square wave, right? So we have, for example, 100 hertz, 300, 500, 700, 900, and so on. But it is inclined, right? So the harmonics get more quiet at higher frequencies. That basically tells us if we filter a square wave, so here we have a filter, for example, that we can bring down, we're creating somewhat of a triangle wave if we're filtering a square wave. So going back to our example waveform, we have the sine wave, right? We have a triangle wave here, which could be a filtered square wave. And then we have a trisaw, which is technically just a triangle wave mixed with a square wave that has the phase flipped. So that info can now be useful to create the type of parallel distortion with a filter that we are looking for. So let's dive back into our 909 kick. And we're going to be using Decimort, but let's throw a filter on top. Let's do it not so steep because we want to turn the square wave that we're creating with this into a triangle wave. So you don't want to have a filter that's too steep. Let's just position it at a point where the punch would be. So we're setting it at like 235 hertz. And let's just see what happens when we record this. So we can now see we're actually already somewhat creating the triangle shape at the beginning here, right? Because we're distorting the wave into a square wave and then filtering it into a triangle wave. But now we want to combine it with the square wave to also get this trisaw wave at the beginning. So let's just put the dry wet and distort this in parallel. We could even also use a bit of filter drive right here. Let's record that. All right, and now we start getting some interesting shapes, which don't just seem like an overdriven wave, which is turned into a square wave. We're getting a trisaw shape, then it's getting slowly less, it's turning into somewhat more of a triangle, and then we get our sine wave at the end, right? But as I said, the trisaw we're looking for is a square wave flipped in phase mixed with a triangle wave. So instead of just using the filter as it is right here, let's create a rack and create a second chain. This one we're going to do at 100% because now we're going to mix these two together instead of having the dry wet control. But we're going to flip the phase of the square wave by using utility. So our square wave would be the dry signal, right? Because that's just the one that's getting distorted very strongly. And then we have this one which is going to get filtered. And then we have, as I said, to flip the phase in utility. All right. So now we're getting already much closer to this, right? We get this really cool shape at the beginning, like a pretty strong triangle wave, but then this looks a little bit weird. So let's see how we can get even closer to original. First of all, the mix between these two really matters, right? If we turn off this one right here, we just get our square wave. If we just were to use this, the other one, we get this shape right here, right? The triangular one. So let's find a fair mix where we're saying, okay, we want the square wave to be relatively present and then a little bit less of this. Let's put that together. All right. So now we can really see how we're creating this trisaw wave at the beginning right here, okay? Let's maybe take a second to also check out the sound, just so... This is already nice. It's really thinned out because we're flipping the square wave and they're kind of phasing each other out a bit. The beginning is cool. The sound is nice. But then this back here is obviously not what we're looking for, right? Here we have this shape. We go into the triangle and then go into a sine wave at the end. And I was wondering, okay, so how do I get this? I was tweaking everything around in here, the mix, the filter cutoff, the drive and everything. And still got this issue until I realized, okay, the shape of our initial kick is really important because now we're kind of just chopping off everything and it's not getting much quieter very quickly. The way you can just distort this at the beginning and then get your normal nice sine wave is by having a beginning that's much louder, therefore getting wave shaped and distorted, and then the end being quieter. So we need more of a transient, right? But this is maybe a bit over the top. Let's just bring this down a little bit in volume. Okay, and record it. So now you can see in here, we have this nice shape at the beginning, right? And then transitioning into that. Maybe if we move the fade a little bit more in this direction, we can now basically really nicely design the kick drum sound in whatever way we want. Something that's also relevant in this context, of course, is the amount of drive that we give. And then, as I said, the mix. Maybe let's try it like this. This sounded pretty cool. And now all of a sudden, so you can see, these are all now shapes, the types of shapes that I've been looking for a pretty long time. As you can see, depending on how we set it up, depending on how loud we make the beginning, we're going to get a specific sound. Now, after this, we can, of course, EQ. We could technically also just bring the tail up in volume, make a little crossfade to make it more subby, right? We can boost the bass. But like this, if we now consolidate this, for example, we can get really nice distorted bass drums. Now it's up to you to kind of fine tune everything and get these settings. As I said, the mix between the two, how you set the filter, what type of distortion unit you want to use and things like that. Of course, technically, this is not necessarily how they created this sound. Maybe for some reason, the face of something got flipped. This is me recreating it based on the wave shape, which is something that I like to do. And then depending on what mixer you have, maybe it flips the face in a way and you just drive the filter and put it in parallel. There are many different approaches, but like this, you know basically where to start in your DAW as well. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments if you found this helpful. If some of the waveform analysis was a little bit fast, I recommend you checking out the prior video. If you haven't seen it already, feel free to check it out. I also have a kick drum sample pack over on my website, ulianshouse.com. It's a great way to support the channel. Link is in the description. And besides that, I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Ciao.